It was hilarious.
I thought that we were live. You're so good at just like talking into
Yeah.
that
No,
mic.
we were just joking about
Practice
that.
it.
That's why. So.
Yeah, we're pretending we're those two women on Saturday Night Live that did the
Hey.
NPR skits. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
Alright,
sorry
good
guys.
times, good times.
Yeah, slow down your breathing before we start. Huh?
Yeah, right, are you, yes.
I was say,
This is
hands
not an
into the
aerobics
microphone.
exercise.
That's right.
Let's see, we got,
Alright, we're gonna start off with
oh, do you wanna,
Alexandra.
oops. Just so we don't get tangled. There we go, alright.
All right.
Alright, in a way. Welcome, you're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm proud to have as my co-host Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money, one of California's fastest growing mortgage investment firms, Patti Cohn of Pacific Union International, and Alexandra Koch of Wealth Plus. She's a financial advisor. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 tanning certificates given away during this show. And those certificates are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Tan Bella Tanning Salon, 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. The trivia theme today is the letter N is in Nancy.
What? What is this, Sesame Street?
Yes, and I'm Big Bird. Our
We
website
won't
is
go there.
bestinvesting.com. Okay, we're going to start off with Alexandra, and you were going to talk about Social Security, what's going on, and go ahead and talk right into the mic.
Okay,
There you go.
Oh, her
Okay.
mic's not
Go
hot,
ahead.
there we go.
okay.
Keep talking.
So
There we go.
there was a news article this week about Social Security because every year the government comes out and makes an announcement about how much the increase is going to be for the subsequent year. So what the article says is that the increase for 2017 is going to be 0.3%,
Excellent.
which is
3%.
for the average benefit is $4 a month. So you can go, for all of you latte drinkers, you can go buy yourself an extra latte.
One more
Oh, but
Starbucks.
oops, we forgot that that money is going to go towards your Medicare payment, actually. So you won't actually get your $4 increase.
Is it an exact offset?
Yeah, it is.
Really?
So, yeah, so whatever, because they can't take more away from you than that, but they can take all of that for your Medicare payment.
Well, you
So-
know, it'd be better off if they just said, listen, we're not going to give you a raise, but don't worry, we're not going to charge you more for Medicare.
Yeah.
Rather than say, we're going to give you
Yeah,
more
right.
and take it all away.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly, which is what they do. So
And it's interesting, Alexandra, because I saw an article this week that kind of dovetails on that, and it was one of those one out of 3 Americans has no savings.
which is very frightening, but true.
I
mean,
thought it would be more than that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Well, the other 2 out of 3, when you look at the numbers of how much they actually have saved, it's actually a very small percentage. I didn't bring the article with me, but those who have sufficient retirement savings is a pathetically low percentage of the population.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
'cause
mean-
that's the question is the 1 out of 3 has savings, but how much are those savings?
Right.
Right, and
Right.
the other one has maybe less than $100,000, which isn't going to carry you very far. And then-
Right. Not
That's what
carry- not carry it all.
children, we were just talking, that's what children are for, right?
Yeah, good luck with that.
That's why I teach my kids.
And then the other thing to think about is, you read articles about how the baby boom generation is getting older, and I think in like 6, 7, or 8 years is going to be 65 years following the peak birth period from 1957, I believe it was, when the largest number of Americans will be turning 65, and many of those people will be dipping into Social Security, and then you've got the issue of will the source of Social Security, because there really is no Social Security fund per se,
Yeah,
it's just an
general-
Not
obligation.
anymore.
Where's that money going to come from, and are they going to have to
We,
increase
the taxpayers.
Yes,
Mhm.
indeed,
We,
yeah.
the taxpayers.
And all I keep thinking about is that deficit that keeps ticking away.
Well, I think the importance of knowing how small those Social Security increases are is that it stresses that people have got to do their own saving. Here in the Bay Area, we have inflation that's 2% above the rest of the country. So a little increase like this is not going to do anything to help people, cover their standard of living. And the reality is they've got to save their own money. And women even more so than men, since they earn less money over their lifetime and always have lower Social Security benefits. So it's even more imperative for women to save more than it is for men.
And you specialize in working with women, don't you?
I do.
In your financial planning process. And I know you've been on the show a couple times before, Alexandra, but you're relatively new as a co-host here. Welcome again. You talked about how you practice a holistic approach with your clients. So talk a little bit more about that.
It's holistic in a number of different ways, but one of the most important ways is that we use a model which incorporates protection, savings, and growth. So it looks at every aspect of a person's finances, not just their investment account or their retirement accounts.
So you're not just picking stocks.
No, we are not just picking stocks at all. And in fact, we have very sophisticated software that enables us to see the results of any recommendation or decision that we make and how that affects a person's finances over the rest of their lifetime. So it's very it's very informative and very useful.
Very good. Tell you what, we're going to go to a very quick break right now. Again, the trivia theme is the letter N. Before we do, I want to make a little mention here for the Cityscape Viewing Lounge at the Hilton San Francisco Union Square. I don't know if you have been there, but it literally, when they say they have 360-degree views, they really do. You can see the Golden Gate Bridge on one side, and you can see like AT&T Park on the other.
Wow.
It's absolutely beautiful, and the food is fantastic. So check them out at the Hilton San Francisco Union Square for Cityscape. All right, here's our first trivia question. Again, the theme is the letter N. What widely sold commercial spread containing the ingredients of hazelnut and cocoa was originally created in Italy? All right, the first caller with the correct answer is going to win the free certificate at Tan Bella, which actually includes 3 tanning services, and one of them you can use actually to get wrinkles away. Can you believe that? I got to check that out.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. The Best of Investing will be right back.
That's so good. I know that answer.
Yeah,
I have a
really.
teenager. I saw something on Facebook and it said a little snapshot of a mom and a parent, a kid, and the mom goes, "Your friend's here and he's really drunk," and the kid goes, "All right, I'll be home soon." He goes, "I gave him some Nutella."
I've been to Europe, so I know Nutella. It's
Oh,
more
yeah.
popular there than it is here.
It is.
What else did you have that we can continue on, Alexandra?
Well, I was just gonna talk about how one of the trends in business now is for different companies to form alliances with each other.
Okay.
And, I just think from a consumer standpoint that, if you're going to be doing business with these different companies, you really need to inform yourself because it might be advantageous, but it might not be advantageous for you.
Good.
So.
All right, so we'll continue on. What do you got?
I got a lot of good stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because I decided I just was going to show up. But when I knew there were 2 other co-hosts, I'm like, I'm just going to dovetail off what everybody else brings.
Do you think you can do that?
Oh, he's a master.
I could do 5 radio shows with no notes. And just like, blah, blah,
He can do
blah,
it with
blah.
2 eyes tied behind his back.
No.
Have I got a loan for you?
Yeah. Hopefully you got a deal of the week, too.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so we're going to continue on with Alexandra for a little bit?
Yes.
All right. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. Edward Brown here, along with Mark Hahn, Patti Cohen, and Alexandra Hahn. So here we go. Here was our first trivia question. Everybody seemed to know the answer to this one. What widely sold commercial spread containing the ingredients of hazelnut and cocoa was originally created in Italy? Patti, you were the first one to jump in.
Nutella.
Nutella, that is correct. All right, so
Delicious.
Alexandra, you wanted to continue on for a minute.
I wanted to talk about a very strong trend right now in the business world, and that is more and more companies forming alliances and working together. One of the ones that's mentioned in the paper today is that Airbnb is teaming up with Solar City, so that anyone who is an Airbnb host will be able to put solar panels on using Solar City, and they're creating some sort of programs to make it easier for people to do that.
Well, I know that some of these programs you can do with just leasing
Yes.
rather than buying. And so it doesn't cost you anything. And in 20 years, you can either give the panels back, continue on or buy them out.
Right,
And
well, it
that-
does cost you something, but
I
That
mean,
is
what I
already
mean
been-
is, I'm sorry. What
no
I-
upfront
no
costs
upfront,
is
yeah,
what you mean.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that is becoming a thing in real estate transactions. We have disclosures about it because at the end of a transaction, the seller says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, the panels are leased," and buyers like, "I don't want that. I don't want to take that over," and they're on the roof.
Which is
So-
kind of silly though, because if they don't want to take it over, they're going to pay more
Well,
PG&E costs.
They assumed it was paid for and they were buying an asset, and they
Gotcha.
don't have the money, and they scraped into it, and they're not even interested. So it's a thing.
Okay. So they were hoping for just the benefit of the solar panel, what it created.
Included
lower
in the
PG,
price.
included
They
in the
thought
price.
included
They
in
assumed
the
it was
price.
owned.
Right.
But that's one example, and you're talking about just companies in general that are collaborating, and you work with one company, and all of a sudden, well, we got this special program with another company, which oftentimes isn't always so special.
Right, and may not be advantageous for the consumer.
Mhm.
So you have to, like so many other things, you have to inform yourself, and you have to make sure you know who you're dealing with and what the realities of the transaction are.
I am kind of curious about Airbnb and solar. I mean, I know Airbnb has to do with your house, but
Demographics.
yeah, I mean, it could be anything to do. It could be Safeway teaming up with Airbnb too. We'll
Right.
come deliver
Groceries
or
for
something, yeah.
right for the people who are staying at your house. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Alexandra, before actually, you know what? Let me ask you we got an email in, and let's just go right into this. It says, when interviewing a financial advisor, what questions should I ask?
There are many questions that you should ask when you're interviewing a financial advisor. You should ask about what their experience and their background is, and if you read a lot of kind of the common literature on personal finance, most people recommend that you hire a certified financial planner. And from my perspective, that is not necessarily a good idea. So that's kind of a controversial statement. But certified financial planners are trained by the financial institutions. So what they recommend is in line with what makes money for the financial institutions. And they are not going to question or look at assumptions on a very deep level. So there are financial advisors who are not certified financial planners who are very good and have other knowledge sets. So that'd be the first thing to ask.
Okay.
Another thing to ask would be whether they are fee-based or commission-based,
All right.
because that's going to tell you the types of investments probably that they're going to recommend. And that's not to say that working with someone commission-based is a bad idea. For people who don't have as much money, sometimes that's the only choice that they have, or the best choice that they have, because then they're paying their commissions up front, and they're not paying fees on a year-by-year basis. And so sometimes that's less expensive for the consumer. They should ask whether they are what's called a captive agent or not. A captive agent means that they're selling only from one company. And as a result, their choices of products are going to be a lot more limited.
Okay.
And
Mostly that's with insurance.
well,
some
but that
insurance
that can also be true if someone is in securities. If they're if they work for a particular broker dealer,
Yeah.
then they're going to be limited by what that broker dealer
Like
has
only
available.
our mutual funds.
That's right. Or there there may be incentives for them to sell that company's mutual funds as opposed to selling others.
Yeah, I got some horror stories about that, but
Yeah.
we'll save that for
Yeah.
another time.
Yeah.
And how do people get a hold of you if they wanted to talk to you more about? Because you have
They-
a wealth of knowledge.
Yes, so they can either call us at 415-457-8936, or they can go to our website, www.wealthplusinc.com.
Wealth plus INC.
Yeah,
Inc.
for Inc.
Okay,
yes.
there we go.
Yeah,
I knew it. But
Someone got Wealth Plus, one of those deals where
Oh, really?
they buy it, and then if you want it, you're gonna have to
Oh,
no,
that's
we're not gonna buy it. So
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Patti, tell you what, let me ask you a question that we got in here.
Sure.
It says, I have heard the term specific performance, but I'm unsure what it means.
Oh, I can tell you what that
Okay,
means.
good.
It has to do with the seller complying with the terms of the contract. So typically, in a transaction, all of the contingencies and all of the due diligence are on the buyer's side.
Okay.
And if the seller doesn't, excuse me, if a seller doesn't perform, a buyer would have a specific performance suit against the seller. So the seller might not perform because they just decided not to sell. They're or they got a better offer and they don't want to sell to that buyer and they're actively trying to get out of it.
The buyer says, wait a minute, I'm going to sue you for specific performance that you have to go ahead and perform on the sale.
Yes, it's very unusual, and sellers usually don't go there when they realize that kind of stuff is happening. Sometimes it's the contract wasn't drawn up correctly, and it's an open area where a seller gets committed up front to paying pest control stuff, and maybe it has to do with, $80,000 worth of items, and they just say, I'm not doing it, but they've already committed. So it doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does.
And does the seller often sue the buyer for specific performance?
Well, it's not called specific performance, but they sue them to hold that deposit.
Hold up. Yeah.
That's
why they have liquidated damages. So,
Yeah. And that rarely happens either because it's, this is California, a consumer-oriented state where there's lots of outs for the buyer. So rarely does a buyer remove contingencies and then back out.
Yeah.
It's
There's
rare.
usually enough time for them to figure everything out before they remove all the contingencies.
Right.
Yeah,
But it
they're asking
happens.
for more time,
It happens. And I can tell you so many times, even before contingencies are removed, if a buyer backs out, almost, I'd say at least half the time, even a sophisticated seller will just say, that means I can keep the deposit. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, they haven't.
Although it's rare, though, we at our company, we get a lot of frantic phone calls from people who are looking at losing their deposit, where the seller and the agent are going to get to keep it because they can't close. They've gone beyond the contingency period. They've signed off on everything. They thought they were ready to close because they thought they had financing lined up, and then all of a sudden they find out that their financing can't close on time or isn't going to close at all. In fact, that's going to be our deal a week later, talking about a situation like that where someone was going to lose a $130,000 deposit, and the seller was going to keep it and go sell to the next guy.
Okay.
And
So
I can tell you, we
we do have to go to a break. So when we come back, I want to hear that story. I want to hear that story. I'm pointing to both of them. Okay. All right. So before we do, this is our last chance to mention about imagine your child cannot hear or speak. What do you do? Where do you go? Check out the Weingarten Children's Center in Redwood City, and on the 29th, they're having a masquerade party at 5 p.m. at the Hyatt Regency Santa Clara. So check them out at listenspeaklearn.org. It's a very good organization. All right, so here is our trivia question regarding the letter N as in Nancy. As Mark says, we're doing full Sesame Street here. Which Australian golfer is known as the Shark? The first caller with the correct answer. Do you know this one too, Patty? Why? She does. It's coming. I know this one. Okay. Call 888-912-1190 to answer that question. And don't touch that dial because the best of investing will be right back.
Anyhow,
I don't know golf at
I don't know
all,
golf, but I know it's a recent guy, right?
I'm not going to say anything.
The young guy.
You
That
have to guess?
new young guy.
Did we go way over on that one?
Yeah.
We did, but
At 9:30 on it.
yeah, that's right.
Young
That
guy.
too.
Wouldn't any
With
new
an
guy
N.
be young?
Glad you're
Yeah,
looking at
that's
that
right.
too, so
Golf.
you can kind of
That's
keep me
right.
accountable.
Yeah.
I get so caught up in all this stuff.
I thought you were just starting to tell a joke about imagine your child couldn't eat.
No.
Like you have a little kid and you're having a tough day.
Yeah,
Oh dear.
that wouldn't be funny, would it?
That's not funny.
I went to a golfing event that they had, and they had it's like a fundraiser, and they had this 9-year-old boy who basically was deaf before. This kid was the most eloquent speaker I think I've ever heard, adult or
Did he have
child.
cochlear implants or?
Yes, he did.
No.
Yeah, you could not tell that he had any, it was incredible. It gave us chills listening to this young man. And he was, I think he was Mexican descent.
Yeah, once I think some of them have a very hard time getting adjusted to them or they never do.
Yeah.
But the ones that do, it's just totally remarkable. Totally a miracle.
And by the way, I still have some free tickets for you guys. I know it's all the way down in Santa Clara. It's on a Saturday night, but let me know if you want to go because I got to let them know if you want chicken or pasta or steak.
Yeah, or salmon.
Okay, or same. So let's see.
Patty, you were going to start to say something. Was it
About the specific performance, yeah, you had the story, and then I'd like to go right to your deal of the week.
Can't remember. I can't remember.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. We were in the moment. It wasn't important. It was just following.
Okay.
Well, so then I'll do a deal of the week, and then you want to go into some of the news that you
Yeah.
have? Okay,
Yeah.
good, because it's a 9-minute segment.
That sounds good. Okay. Ready? Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, along with Mark Hahn, Patti Cohn, and Alexandra. I have to look at everybody to get the names. Okay, so here was our second trivia question. Which Australian golfer is known as the Shark? Anybody?
Don't know.
Ernie Els?
No, it starts with an N.
Oh, it
Yeah.
starts with an N. That's
Greg
right.
Norman.
Norman.
Oh, Greg
yeah,
Norman.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so Mark, you kept us in suspenders over the commercial break about this $130,000 deposit.
Well, last segment, Patty was talking about answering a question that an email listener had sent in about specific performance and how sometimes that can lead to loss of deposit if the buyer doesn't perform and actually close on the transaction in a timely manner. And thanks to Dodd-Frank and a whole slew of new mortgage lending regulations, lending timelines have been increasing. And so companies like ours, Pacific Private Money, who are alternative financing or private financing, we're seeing more and more people calling us, or their realtors or their mortgage brokers are contacting us saying, hey, I have a client that's in a pickle, and if they can't close by sometimes it's early as literally, like Friday of this week or by next Friday. I mean, the clock is ticking. The seller has said that they're giving no more extensions because oftentimes by the time they call us, they are already in one or more extensions and the seller's growing tired of waiting for them to close. And so what's happening in these situations? Well, the public wouldn't know it because the newspapers aren't writing about this, but a growing percentage of real estate purchase transactions are getting strung out, are getting delayed because of financing issues, because of conventional financing issues that come up during the process and leading to longer time. So let's say a typically aggressive purchase contract is maybe a 21 or even a 30-day close, which is, used to be normal, and now that's almost aggressive given timelines for some mortgage lenders for what they need. Mortgage timelines now are up over 45, 46 days on average. And so we got a call from a realtor on Monday morning that had a client in contract to buy a $4.4 million home in Silicon Valley. They were putting $1.4 million down, and they had been approved for a $3 million loan, but it was growing apparent that the mortgage lender was not going to be able to close in time, and the client had until Friday, and the seller said, we are going to keep your deposit, and they had a cash buyer in second position who was eager to close and pay more, so the seller was eager to cast this contract aside. There was a $130,000 non-refundable deposit at risk here, and it's 3% of the price. So now that's a bigger loan than we typically will see. On average, the loans that we see in Bay Area would be between 750 and maybe $1 million, $2 million, $4 million. But we were able to put it together and close the deal, and it was everyone was everyone involved in this situation. It's funny because it was a week where we talked with the buyer, we talked with the seller, we talked with the buyer's agent, we talked with the seller's agent, we talked with other agents.
The seller probably wasn't too happy though because they didn't get their higher cash offer.
Well, the seller just wanted to know that we were the real McCoy, and that and because they've heard the stories before, and unfortunately in our industry, there are a lot of people that make promises that will say anything to tie up a funding opportunity. So that's especially true in hard money or private money, whichever you want to use to refer to. It's essentially the same thing: hard money, private money, alternative financing. Those are all words generally used to describe non-bank financing, which being heavily promoted by a lot of companies, not only in the Bay Area but in Southern California. There's quite a few larger kind of subprime replacement type companies that make a lot of promises for what they can do for you. Of course, their rates are never as good as a bank, but they exist to as a secondary or alternative financing resources. And one of the things that we at Pacific Private Money have as a reputation is reliability and performance, and we've obtained that through years and hundreds of loans that we've closed on time. And we like to say to people, because it's true, we've never left anyone at the altar, and we have almost 100% delivery rate for closing on time. When I say almost, I mean, things happen in escrow, and sometimes you go a couple of days beyond that. But we're not doing. I mean, we're talking about people who are in a transaction where their bank is extending week after week after week. And so anyway, if you're a realtor out there or a mortgage broker, and maybe you just had a situation like that, next time one lands on your desk, or maybe you have one even now that is befuddling you, give us a call at Pacific Private Money. I mean, we're one of the few California private lenders that actually will fund consumer loans, owner-occupied loans. That requires additional licensing and additional disclosure requirements, which most private lenders are not going to do. So you might call 10 private lenders, and all 10 of them will tell you, no, we don't do consumer loans. We don't do owner-occupied financing, because there are probably about 500 private lenders in California, and I only know of about 5, including Pacific Private Money, that will make owner-occupied
Because
loans.
you have to have special licenses for those kinds of
Well,
loans.
it's much costlier. You have to hire people who understand how to disclose properly. There's all these new regulations under Dodd-Frank, including TRID and waiting periods, and so it's just much more expensive. So it's an easier business model and a less expensive business model for private lenders to just focus on business purpose and investment property financing. That includes fix and flip and rehab and construction. Those don't require extra licensing. Those don't require disclosures. Those don't require things like HUD counseling for the borrower. I mean, there's all kinds of restrictions thanks to Dodd-Frank, where regulators passed all these laws that are really designed to protect consumers from predatory lending practices. But the double-edged sword, or the unintended consequences, they've made it much harder for conventional loans to be originated.
On that one Silicon Valley house, what did you end up charging the borrower?
So that one, because the borrower of high net worth was making over $1 million a year W-2, and so we offered him a 9% note rate, and we started at 2 points, went down I think about 1 3/4 before it was all said and done.
That's not unreasonable.
Well, we price based on how complex the deal is and how fast they want to close, and the reason we quoted 2 out of the gate was just because they literally wanted to close in 5 business days. And
A $3 million loan.
usually we would charge a premium for that, but the loan was already of a certain size, and as it turns out, we placed a few phone calls to our stable of high net worth individuals, and we found a family that's actually in the real estate business that is located in that area of Silicon Valley, and they went out that night, looked at it, said, hey, this is great, yeah, we'd love to fund that loan.
Very good.
You know, the higher the amount, the lower the rate. I have a client who got a hard money or a private money loan for $116 million.
Wow.
The rate was 6%.
Wow.
I can't wait to do that.
I want to hear. Yeah, that's right. All right. So here's our here's our last trivia question. Here is according to letter N. Okay, according to its own laws, what U.S. state demands that it holds the first U.S. presidential primary election in the nation? Don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing. I'll be right back. All right.
I think it's New Hampshire, right?
It's New Hampshire. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So we have one more long segment.
A lot of ends.
Yeah.
So, Patty, you've got some articles?
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much what's going on in the marketplace is bearing out with the numbers. What I've been saying for a while is we're heading toward a buyer's market, and it kind of peaked. It almost peaked. We started seeing that is probably like mid-year last year, but 2016 was a tough year, and it's almost like schizophrenic. You've got properties that will go way over asking quickly, and you've got ones that languish on the market. And when that starts happening, buyers get scared. And so I have so what I did is I looked at September for the last 3 or 4 years to see what the median price was, how many sold, and all that, and so you can see a trend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
All right.
Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown. He's Mark Hahn. She's Patti Cohen, and she's Alexandra Koch. Last trivia question. According to its own laws, what U.S. state demands that it holds the first U.S. presidential primary election in the nation? Answer?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Yes, it's not bad. That's
Or Nebraska.
Or Nebraska. Now, it'd have to be an East
North
Coast
Dakota.
place. And I want to make a quick mention also here. If you're ready for the best holiday show ever, got to check out Joy to the World at the Luther Burbank Center for the Arts. One of the holiday favorites. Some of the most uplifting and cherished songs. Check them out at www.broadwayholidayshow.com. All right, Patti, are we still in a buyer's market or are we in a seller's market?
We're in a transitional market. We're what I would like to call we're normalizing, and we need to normalize because we spiked up so quickly. And 7 out of the 9 Bay Area counties are back up at the price that they peak prices. And at the same time, affordability is down because prices are up. And the unsold inventory rate is like 3.6 months, meaning that based on buyer demand, it'll take 3.6 months to have all the inventory absorbed.
But bank interest rates are still pretty low.
Rates are low,
Okay.
Jobs are great. I'm just talking Bay Area.
Okay.
So we also have what I like to call a schizophrenic market, because you've got properties that are selling immediately, multiple offers, and we've had that for years.
They're just price right.
Well, yes, but
Just neighborhoods.
Then
I
we
guess.
have those
Certain
that-
neighborhood demand.
then we have those that are not selling, and they're sitting there, and there's more and more of them, and that's when buyers get scared. And there's many reasons for it, but some of it is the changing of a market. When that expression, pigs get slaughtered at the very end, right?
Mhm.
Well, when sellers are still pricing at the trajectory of where we were
Yeah.
in that terms of price appreciation, and we're not there anymore, you have, because it's basically we're dealing with a market where people make decisions over a kitchen table. They're not necessarily sophisticated, and sometimes people at the very end of the market say, oh, now it's time to put mine on, and I'm going to put mine on for $100,000 more than my neighbors, which is exactly like mine. So that's what I mean by schizophrenic. So sometimes that's the reason, and we just have a market that's changing. So some properties are going right away, and some are sitting or not selling at all. And then buyers see that they get reduced to $100,000, they get reduced to $200,000, and that's when they get scared and they push back and they say, maybe I don't want to play anymore. Maybe I'm going to be the fool that overpays.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I mean by schizophrenic, because we still have a very strong market, but we're headed into that long cycle toward a buyer's market. And it's normal, like anything else in life. There's cycles, and we're just headed out of the seller's market.
Well, you've
we're
been
in a
in this
neutral
business
market.
for a long time, so you've seen all those ups and downs.
Yeah, and you can feel them before they're even here.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've been doing this 27 years, selling real estate in Marin County, California, and we're in it. And
So what are you telling your various buyer clients or seller clients?
yeah, I mean, to really, to first of all, work with a really good agent that understands value and understands exactly what's going on this month in the market, so that you don't underprice and you don't overprice. I mean, it's more damaging to overprice than to underprice. Except if you have a house that for some reason does not have mass appeal, it's on a busy street, it has 72 steps going up, you have to price correctly on that, because it's not going to go over market. But, price correctly. The days of, putting on a $750,000 house that's going to go up to 1.5 like they do in the city is over completely.
You're not getting that kind of stuff in the city anymore.
Not in the city anymore, no. And Silicon Valley, San Mateo County and San Francisco has overtaken Marin in terms of price range and all that, because that's so Marin in the East Bay is becoming more of a value, if you will.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, price per square foot is, I mean, you want to see the highest price per square foot of homes, it's in the Silicon Valley region. You're talking Menlo Park, Atherton,
2,000
Santa
foot.
Clara. Yeah, 2,000 square, that's exactly what, you can pay 2,000 square foot for a fixer-upper
Yeah.
in some neighborhoods. It's just, depending on your proximity to the Facebook campus or the Google campus, we've had loan applications come in for tear downs at close to 2,000 a square foot. And we've just said, no, we're not going to play that game.
Yeah,
That's just,
exactly.
that's more of an all cash play for someone who wants to play that game.
I'm going to be bringing a listing on in Tiburon that's going to be priced probably around 4, maybe 5 million, and it is a teardown. But the comp is in March, the house next door with the same size lot, same view, sold last year, the year before, somewhere around 3 million, and aftermarket went back on, gorgeous house, 13 million all cash, 1 week close.
Wow.
So, if 75% of the value is in the land,
Yeah, how big a lot?
small. I mean, it's all about view. If the
Yeah,
lot's
of
only
course.
like a half acre, maybe, it's less than an acre. It's less than an acre.
Less than an
And it's
acre.
a down
And it's a
slope.
downslope.
So it's all about
the view.
the view. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Wow. Hey, Mark, before I forget, there was a question we got an email from you for you. It says, I've heard about fractionalized deeds. What are they, and are they a good idea?
So we're talking about investments, and a fractionalized deed is more specifically a fractionalized deed of trust or a fractionalized mortgage. In California, mortgages are called deeds of trust, so that's hence that term. So a fractionalized deed is really referring to someone who wants to participate in what's known as mortgage investing, where they invest in a mortgage secured note, or more specifically a note secured by a deed of trust on a home or property in California. And there's really 2 ways to invest in an individual note. You either fund the entire note, let's say it's a $1 million note, and you fund $1 million, and the note is in your name or your trust or whatever, however you choose to invest in that note, whatever entity you might have. A fractionalized note is pretty common, in fact, on larger notes like $1 million note. It wouldn't be unusual to say have 4 people invest in a $1 million note. Maybe they each put $250,000 in. That would be a very simple way of doing it. More commonly, though, it will be an odd assortment of people, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who each put in different amounts for a fractional interest in that loan. So investing fractionally in notes is one way to kind of have the benefit of being able to choose among more notes, because you don't have $1 million, let's say, but you really like this $1 million note, and the originator is willing to allow you to invest, say, $200,000 in. That's one way to be able to participate in a high quality note. It's not the same as investing in a fund, for example. In a fund, you're not investing in an individual note. Your money is being invested in a private placement in a company that makes loans. But there are differences.
It's almost like a mutual fund.
Right. So investing in a fractionalized deed. So the question is that a good thing? I guess I forget the exact wording of the question, but
It's a good idea.
is it a good idea? Well, it's certainly not a bad idea. I think Edward, you and I are big proponents of mortgage investing, so we believe it's actually a really good idea to invest in mortgage-backed products, whether you invest in a mortgage pool fund, whether you invest in a fractionalized deed of trust, or whether you invest in whole notes. Any one of those 3 ways of investing in a California mortgage, in my opinion, are great. But you need to know the differences. I won't necessarily say pros and cons, because I don't know that it's really fair to call it a con, but there are many ways to do it. And for more information, give us a call, because phone calls are free and we love talking about this stuff. We do it every day. Call us at Pacific Private Money, 415-883-2150, or go to pacificprivatemoney.com.
And before we get to the break, Patti, how do people get a hold of you if they have some questions about buyer's market, seller's market, etc.?
Oh yeah, anything about residential real estate, please call me. No obligation. Patti Cohn, COHN, 415-722-8255. 4842 at Pacific Union International.
Very good. All right, we're going to cut to our last commercial break, and when we do, we're going to have some closing comments on the best of investing. Don't touch that dial.
Nice.
Okay. All right, what do we want to cover?
Alexandra, you got anything you want to cover?
Yeah.
Kind of wrap? Anything else you brought or thought of while we're sitting here?
No, although I realize I should probably mention that we do a no charge initial consultation.
Okay.
Let's do that. Let's all kind of talk about, because I know I didn't get a chance, other than at the very end, I didn't get a chance earlier to give the name and number and for information about. So let's each plug our businesses.
And one thing that's true about all of our businesses that came up, we all are in businesses where definitely people say anything to get to your business. So
That's
the fact that we
true.
all, because remember you mentioned that,
Yeah.
same here, same there.
Yeah, that's true.
So to really have integrity is unique.
That's pretty good. I like that.
We're a step ahead.
Although
We're
everyone
a step
says they
ahead.
have integrity. That's the thing.
Yeah.
How do you
Well,
know
right.
who's really has integrity?
Well, people that say it usually don't.
Right, if you have to say it, you probably
That's right.
don't.
I'm the kind of, when people start out, I'm the kind of person.
But
you
I
know
haven't, we do business with integrity.
I'm here from the government.
And that's their
I'm here to help you.
Run!
Right, yeah. Okay, so we had already asked our last trivia question, so who are we cutting to? Okay. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money, Patti Cohen of Pacific Union International, and Alexandra Koch of Wealth Plus. And Alexandra, you want to mention something before we cut out for the day?
I wanted to mention that one of the ways that we work with people is allowing them to come in for a no-charge initial consultation, which is a get-to-know-you session. They bring their information, we talk about what their concerns are about their finances, and we talk about how we work and decide whether we can work well together. So it makes me feel very good to be able to meet with people and let them be relaxed and come in and not worry that they're going to be committed to anything.
It's actually, you're both interviewing each other, really.
Mhm.
Yes,
Because
yes.
you may go, you're not the kind of client I
Yeah.
want.
Well, and one of the things that I didn't get to mention when people were when you asked me what questions they should ask a financial advisor is they should really ask about the kinds of clients that they already have to see whether they are a fit with that or not. Because, if their income level and their assets are vastly different than the majority of people that advisor is working with, then they may not get the same
That's a
level of
good
service.
Yeah.
They may not get, their needs met in the way that they should. So.
Not enough people avail themselves of the fact that most professionals are authentic when they say, it's a no-charge session. And I know that some people are hesitant or embarrassed to make a call for that free 45-minute or 1 hour or even 90-minute consultation. And I'll tell you, in my business, I have people coming in all the time to do presentations with no obligation and spend, I had a 90-minute presentation the other day for someone who charges, quite a bit of money for their time, but that presentation was free, and that was in order for me to be able to assess, do I feel like this is a good fit? Is this a person I would like to work with? Do I want to pay this person the amount of money that they're looking to earn? So all of the Best of Investing co-hosts are like you just talked about, Alexandra, and are sincere when they say, give me a call, let's schedule an appointment, no fee, no obligation, let's find out if we're a good fit.
Yeah.
I'm 100% free until it closes.
That was Patti.
In fact, it costs me money to do the business until it closes.
I'm waiting for a potential employee who's going for an interview. Says, I usually charge for this. To interview for you.
Right, Patti, you like it, a lot of your business is that you're right. You're absolutely right. As a real estate broker, until the deal closes,
Right.
you don't get paid.
Not only do I not get paid, but I'm spending money. I work mostly with sellers, so I'm spending money on advertising and staff and a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I love what I do.
Yeah.
It works for me.
Well, there's a reason you are number one.
That's right.
Not number one and we're in, but still, it's a nice big place to be number one, right?
Yep.
So before we cut out, everyone, give out your information again. Mark, how do people get a hold of you if they want to either borrow money or invest money?
To borrow money when your bank says no, or to invest money when you are intrigued by mortgage investing and the kind of rates you can earn, like 8% on your savings, do go to our website, pacificprivatemoney.com.
And Patti Cohn?
Patti Cohn, C-O-H-N, with Pacific Union International. It is truly a free consultation. And I mean, I know that in life, the more I give, the more I get. So
There you go.
I'm happy to talk with anybody, whatever the concern is. And, maybe one day you'll have a referral or you'll
Exactly.
sell a house or buy a house. But anyway, so it's 415-722-4842.
Because you never know where those referrals are going to come from.
Yep.
And Alexandra?
And likewise, we look forward to meeting you in our office and showing you our sophisticated software and talking about how we work. And that's 415-457-8936 or wealthplusinc.com.
Very good. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you to our co-hosts for joining us today. Here's our thoughts for the day. Michael Jordan makes more money from Nike annually than all the Nike workers in Malaysia combined.
Ah.
Oh,
And
it's painful.
And at the 1912 Olympics, a marathon runner quit and went home to Japan without telling officials, and was considered a missing person in Sweden for 50 years. In 1966, he was invited to complete the marathon. His time, 54 years, 8 months, 6 days, 5 hours, 32 minutes, and 20.379 seconds. All right, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long.
Wow, it's early. Good. So 5:15.
Good.
Always got Nicholas.
I was going to say, why dally, right? I mean,
I was like, oh wow, I have lots of time. What errands can I do?
You're
in the
going to be
meantime?
going